Good morning. It's been a bit since I've done a video, so there's a lot to catch up on. I stopped making them because I just really felt like I didn't have anything worth vlogging about. My health was declining. Most of my time was spent inside the four walls of my house, and that really wasn't much to film about. Nobody wants to see that side of chronic illness. I don't think that the real raw part that sends you into a very dark place. At about that same time, my dog Piper, if you've seen the videos, you remember her. She was hit by a car and we lost her. So that didn't help the darkness. But I came to a point where I had to make a decision to turn all that over to the Lord, to turn everything over to the Lord, to stop trying to find answers for myself and just let Him handle it. And that's what I did. And it took a while for me to come out of that dark hole that I was in, but I did. And believe it or not, I was able to go back to work. My first job was at a vision center. It was not full time. I worked half days on Tuesdays. I worked a half day every other Friday. It was a good job and I liked it. It didn't pay very much, but that was okay. It was my first job since I'd been this sick, so that was okay. Things happened there, personnel changes happened, and I 100% believe that God's going to put you where He wants you to be, and that wasn't where I needed to be anymore. So I did find a new job. This job is amazing. The job itself is fantastic. If you don't know, I have a degree in medical administration and a degree in medical office management. So that is what I enjoy doing. But when you don't have an immune system and you live with chronic illnesses, you can't really work in a regular doctor's office setting anymore. Well, this job, without getting into too many personal details, but I work only in the office and I don't have to see the public, and there aren't a whole lot of people that I interact with in the office itself, maybe about 15 people, which is not bad. I have my own area so I can kind of control the germ situation there. But the main thing is I love the work. It's a great job. It's great pay. The people that I work with in that office are outstanding, caring, helpful, wonderful people. And that's not an atmosphere that you normally find in an office. And we all know that. Anybody that works in an office or in any job, it's a rarity. So I really am thankful to the Lord for putting me in this job. What else has happened? So much to get into. So first, you know that I have common variable immunodeficiency. That is a subclass of primary immune deficiency disorder. It means basically I don't have a functioning immune system. Bilateral vestibular dysfunction, which completely destroyed my life for probably about 2.5 to 3 years before I started to recover from that. I have lupus. I have 2 different forms of arthritis. I have Hashimoto's disease. I have chronic migraines. I have type 2 diabetes. What has happened to me recently has brought me back to the place of being stuck inside the four walls of my house. I also have fibromyalgia. I see my rheumatologist every 3 months, and for about 5 visits, I told her I had a pain in my neck that would go down into my shoulder, and it was almost like a bee sting. And she just would say, well, it's your fibromyalgia, or maybe it's your lupus pain, and here, take this Celebrex, and take these muscle relaxers before you go to bed at night, and add an Aleve every day. Drink more water. Take turmeric. It was just, but no x-rays were ever done. No testing was ever done to see what was causing this pain. So that went on for quite some time. And then I had gotten back to exercising because I felt well enough to do that. I exercised that morning. I went to work that day and my neck started hurting. And the pain started radiating down into my arm. If you've ever had a Charlie horse in the back of your thigh and your hamstring, that is what my entire arm felt like, with the added sensation that I was being electrocuted. This was, and I've been through a lot in my life with chronic illnesses and many other things, and I know pain. I've had several surgeries. I can't take prescription pain medicine because I'm allergic to it, or it makes me vomit, so I can't take it. I consider myself to have a pretty high pain tolerance. But this pain is pain that I've never experienced before, and I could not take this pain. So I thought in my mind, well, I just need to see the chiropractor because I must have just something out of line somewhere with this pain. So I left work to go see the chiropractor, thinking I'm going to visit the chiropractor, maybe go home, do some ice heat rotation, and I'll be back tomorrow and everything will be fine. Well, I went to see the chiropractor, and when he did x-rays, now keep in mind I've not seen a chiropractor in 20 years. This is my mother-in-law's chiropractor, but he said your neck has severe cervical stenosis. You have zero space where there should be space in your neck. I can't touch your neck. He adjusted the rest of my back. He did what he could. He did ice tables and massage. Nothing was working. The pain continued to increase. So I went to I have a daughter who works for an orthopedic clinic. I'm trying not to give out too much information, but I have a daughter who works for an orthopedic clinic, an orthopedic surgeon. So when I described to her what was happening, she got me in with their spine specialist on a Monday. This was on a Thursday. I was going to see him on a Monday. My insurance requires a referral, so I went straight to my primary care physician, who repeated the x-rays and was shocked by what she saw. Yes, you definitely need to see an orthopedic surgeon. So on Monday, I went to see the orthopedic surgeon. He did more x-rays, confirmed this is bad. Your spinal stenosis is bad. He showed me where it was pinching my nerve. He did some testing on my left arm. Now, I'm left-handed, so it's really bad that it's affecting my left arm more than anything else. He did the checking my reflexes in my left arm and my left hand. I have almost none. So it's pretty severe, and it's just like it hit me like somebody dropped a house on me. The quickness of this pain and the elevation of this pain. And my left hand now, I'm left-handed, I can't write with it. My right hand, I can squeeze, do this a fist. My left hand, that's it. I can't make a fit. I mean, it's extremely weak. I can't write with it. I can't fix my hair. I can't hold on to things. When I try to pick up something, I drop it. So it's a pretty big deal. So I've been out of work since this happened because he doesn't want me working. He doesn't want me lifting anything that weighs more than a toothbrush. Now I'm waiting on a surgery date. I have to have 3, possibly 4 discs replaced, rods and pins put in, and then hopefully my left arm will come, I call it coming back to life, and I can go back to work once this surgery is done. I had to see my immunologist and my primary care physician to get clearance to have this surgery done. Completely normal when you suffer from this many chronic illnesses. When I went to see my primary care physician, she ordered the lab work, chest x-ray, EKG, all that. Then I got a phone call the next day that the courier lost my blood work. I'm not quite sure how that happens, but I had to go back and have my blood work redone. And I went to the immunologist. It's like there's just roadblock after roadblock. The immunologist, for some reason, Blue Cross Blue Shield has stopped letting him do labs on their patients. Now, as somebody who works in this field, I pretty much know the reason why that typically is going to happen, but I can't do anything about that. So I had to go back to my primary care physician to have their lab draw the labs for the immunologist. More delays. So finally yesterday, all the paperwork got to the surgeon. So now today, here I sit waiting to get a phone call from the surgeon's office to schedule this surgery. In the meantime, this has been going on for a month now with this horrendous pain that has stopped me from being able to do anything that I enjoy. I miss my job. I know there are a lot of people who don't like to work, who say, oh my goodness, I wish I didn't have to work. I enjoy my job. For someone who has not been physically able to work for so long, being able to go back to work to a job that I enjoy, around people that I like being around, making a paycheck, feeling like I'm making a contribution to my family again, is really, I want to go back to work. I'm ready to go back to work. I need to get this done. I need this pain to stop. I need my hand and my arm to work. I need to be fixed. I need to go back to work. And there are a lot of things that this cervical stenosis affects besides just my neck and my arm. If you've ever suffered from a vestibular disorder, you know that there is a cervical component to some vestibular disorders. And it could go either way. I am concerned that this cervical surgery could bring the dizziness back. If it does, God will handle it one way or the other. So I try not to worry about that. My hope is that when things are back in alignment, it will get better. Now, I have a whole lot more good days than I do bad days with my vestibular disorders now. It's very, very rare that I have a really bad dizzy day. Every once in a while I feel like, oh, that was a little whoosh, and I can normally drink a lot of electrolytes, try to take a nap, take some vitamin D, and believe it or not, that helps and it gets better. I'm concerned about that coming back. That is, with this surgery, that is my greatest fear. So I'm trying to just pray about it and let go of that. What else has happened? We got a new dog. She's over here sleeping right now. Her name is Tessa. She's a Beagle mix. I've had some more grandchildren. I have a total of 10 now. I've lost family members. I had a brother who passed away. My mother-in-law passed away. And the most devastating one, I think, was my 15-year-old niece passed away of her own doing. That was very difficult. That's just kind of a little update. I will try to get back to making some more videos. If anybody wants to watch them, I don't know, but I'll try to keep it going at least through this surgery. It's just kind of an example of life can be going along so great and things can be improving, and then bam, something just comes along and knocks you off your feet, and you have a decision to make. You can, which I did in the beginning, wallow in it, feel sorry for yourself, go to a very, very dark place in your head. Or you can make the choice to give it to God, let Him handle it, and expect the best instead of the worst. And it's not something that you can do one time. I get up every single morning, and I have to several times a day remind myself, this is not in my control. This is all in God's control, and what's going to happen is going to happen, and He's going to be in charge of it one way or the other. I'm going to get through it no matter what happens. And that's the way I've learned that I have to look at all of these chronic illnesses. My life will never be the same unless God decides to heal me of all of these things, and I know that. But there are things that I can do to make it better, and I do that. I make sure I drink enough water every day. I try to eat a clean diet. I try to exercise, which right now I can't do that. But I was getting really well at exercising. I'm very careful about taking supplements, and not just taking any supplement. Never buy a supplement from Amazon because it's probably not the real thing. Clean supplements. I use essential oils. I am very, very devoted to my relationship with Christ, and I think that helps everything. But there's not a quick one thing fits all, or even one thing's going to fix one person. But there are things that you can do to make it a little bit better, and that's what I try to do every day. So I'll try to keep you posted on all of this. I have filmed a couple of other videos. My husband had to take a trip to Korea for his job, so I had to do my infusion by myself. I made a video about that. I think I made one the day this whole pain thing came about. I had to have an MRI done, of course, so they could see the extent of it. And if you are claustrophobic, you know that an MRI is horrible to have to do. But mine went really well, and I'll tell you what I did. I had a cold, wet rag on my eyes so that I could not see the machine that I was going into. My husband was in the room. When she put me in the machine before she started it, I made her let me move my arms and legs so that I knew for myself that I could move, that I was not trapped in there. I could move. My husband was there. He was touching my legs. He was talking to me through it. And in my head, because she told me how long the MRI was going to take, in my head, I sang hymnals, and I know about how long these hymnals are. So as I sang one, okay, this much time has gone by, I have this much left. had conversations with God. I talked to my husband while he was out there waiting, and that's what got me through the MRI without having to be sedated. Because I didn't want to do that. I had to be able to drive myself home so my husband could go back to work. I will keep you updated on what happens, how this goes. Just, if you will, say a prayer for me. If you want to check out some other things from my life, you can find me on Instagram at Chronically Nana. See you next time.